Let's talk now about week 5 and the idea of shining bright. Oprah Winfrey once said, "Let your light shine. Shine within you so that it can shine on someone else. Let your light shine." The thing that really stands out for me, shine within you so that it can shine on someone else. One of my icons that I hold in my mind in high esteem comes to mind. Nelson Mandela. To hear history and to watch TV programs and even movies about him and see his story about his life and the challenges he faced. And yet there was this peace within him that allowed him to move through all of those things and just radiate glory and peace and love and life to the world, even after all that he experienced. That has always touched my heart. I think it touched my heart most, not only because it was just so awe-striking, but also because I feel like within all of us, we know that we have the capacity, each one of us really, to be a force for good in the world. That there is a reason that each of us is here, and that reason matters. I heard this once before from a motivational speaker I saw, and it really stuck with me. Now, this guy had a sales background, but the one thing he said that really stuck with me afterwards was, "Be a harbinger of hope, not a forebearer of doom." I remember sitting there and hearing that and thinking, I better write this down. I definitely took that one personally. The reason it struck me was because I realized that there were so many individuals who show up at the party of life with a wet blanket. They just come holding all their luggage and their baggage and history and ruin any atmosphere of joy and hope that is in the room. It's the idea that someone calls them with good news and immediately they find something wrong. For example, you might be the one to say, "It's sunny outside," and they would reply, "Yeah, but it's too hot." Or, "It's a beautiful spring rain today," and they complain that it's always raining. That person can't see not only the forest for the trees, but they can't see any light, right, in the forest itself. That energy is the lie. That energy is their pain expressing. I think it's important to remember and note for ourselves that when we are in a place of focusing on the negative, focusing on the challenge or the pain, then we are allowing that energy to germinate. We're giving it life. We are bringing it to life. But we have just as much ability and capacity to be a person who comes into a space from an inwardly lighted place. It is important to be the person who looks for the good. Having that attitude of gratitude, if you will, really does resonate with others. It can make a big difference in almost any situation. When you come into a new space, when you meet new people, people are drawn to that. They feel lighter around you. They are more open and receptive to you, and as a result, you can now also be more open and receptive because you are using your own internal light to guide you through and move forward. That leads us to the idea of service. I know for many of you, there might be some capacity or some area of your goals that have to do with financial success, new business, new positions, jobs, things like that, even expansion of your current business, all of those things. One way that successful people have throughout times talked about really making a difference in their own businesses, especially really successful entrepreneurs, is to start with the idea of being of service. To focus on what they are offering. It's not so much about kind of pounding the sales path as much as it is about just opening yourself. Opening to what it is that is coming from inside of you. To giving voice to the gift inside you that wants to be given to the world. There is something in you that wants to do and grow in the world because you feel as if it would help the world be a better place. I believe that is something that is intrinsic of all of us. Every individual I've ever worked with, they know somewhere inside of them, they're here to do something better and good in the world. My job, luckily, is to help them find out what that is and to help them express that. That's the idea when we talk about service here. It is to bring your best to the table. Awesome. Let's go back to the idea of being a harbinger of hope and sharing your success freely. Now, this is going to be a little tricky for some people because sharing your success around our group, for example, is easy. Everyone here, I would very much venture to guess, would give you a pat on the back for any level of success you have this week or next or the weeks before towards your goal. It's what we're here to do, each of us. So it makes sense that then when one of us succeeds, all of us are going to feel better and more enlivened. Conversely, if you find yourself around one of those forebearers of doom, then sharing your success with them may not have the result you expect. But this is the key. It does not matter. It's vitally important for you to be authentic and real about your success. Be proud of it, to be expressive of it, to honor it and share it. What someone else does with that, good or bad, is their business. Let me tell you a story. I was married at a very young age and divorced soon after. But during that time, I had lived with a family, then my in-laws, that was very negative. They were loud and there was a lot of anger and animosity in their family. And in the midst of all that, I had just started becoming aware of the idea about being clear with my own boundaries. I chose to be consistent and very positive and bring a little light in their world. I found out years later through my ex-husband that his brother was so affected by who I was that he contacted him to ask him to call me for my advice. It was on a personal and challenging issue he was going through. Because I had created such an image in him of being successful and moving forward out of some bad situations myself, I feel like that helped him to see me as a resource that he could reach out to even years later. That matters more to me than even all of those years of turmoil that we went through as a family. It was a validation of the work I had done and the idea that being clear about who we are helps others to be clear too. For me, it was about being conscious of the idea that it was okay to be happy, successful, open, and honest, even in the midst of all that turmoil we went through. If I had helped one person in that family, at the very least, make a change for themselves and to reach out for help when they needed it, then it was worth it. You never know who that person is going to be, but you might just be the inspiration they need to make a powerful change. And it was pretty great. And it's been a validating thought in the back of my mind since then. This really does work. I hope that encourages you to recognize how important it is to be who you are, to be okay with it, to stay positive even around those naysayers, and let their process be their process. You don't have to necessarily fix everybody around you, but you do have to stay who you are. And not claiming that is like the old adage of hiding your light under the bushel. That's not going to solve anything, and it won't help you move forward. Or possibly affect that one person who needed you to shine your light on them, who needed to see somebody else doing it, getting it right. Some of you have been drawn here to our group tonight and this process or the program through someone else. That person luckily understood this piece. These are the things I want you to think about. Who are you in real life, as it were? Who are you when no one else is watching? In the center of your being, what makes you the most happy, the most vibrant, the most alive? And how can you structure the things you are doing to amplify that divine spark? How can you maybe reevaluate some of your goals to be more aligned with that person? and give that person a voice. Give that piece of you, that really bright, shining soul, and the spirit of who you are as an individual, a place to live in your life. Oftentimes it is about being fully present in the moment, and that can be a challenge. It is important to really stay clear when the chaos happens. Being fully aware that you don't have to engage, but you can participate from your own sense of values and ideas and dreams and goals. So this week, it really is about owning what makes you, you, and what makes you valuable in your own skin, and finding a sense of purpose that gives you the sense of self. Some might challenge that. In fact, some of you might have that little voice going off right now that says, thinking of myself is selfish. I guess technically, in verbiage, that may be true. But I would challenge then that not thinking of yourself is more selfish. Because as I mentioned already, the world needs you. And if you're not showing up, then you're holding back one of the best gifts the world ever created. And without you, the world is less than. Without you being fully present, fully actualized as a human being, you are taking away from the universe. You're actually holding back the gem that you really are, and that's just not fair, to be very blunt. It's just not fair to the people that you're connecting with, and it's not fair to the universe. Have you ever seen someone perhaps that you bumped into on the street and thought you should say hello, but you just didn't make that step across the street, or didn't wave, or didn't make eye contact, and just went on your way? But what if that person was just about to ask you for a connection? Either a favor or a name of someone that, they know you know, that they really needed to get in contact with. But because you didn't follow that inner guidance, that kind of inclination that sprung up, the idea that something needed to be done, you missed a connection. Conversely, what if you really do start to pay attention to those inner whispers within you? To pick up the phone instead of letting it go to voicemail, or to turn left when you were going to turn right. You might become surprised at how much the universe is actually laying before your feet. Synchronicities that you previously were missing. So as we look at that tonight, I want you to really consider where you are with your life and what it is you bring to the table. How much do you understand that you really can be a light to other people? And are you familiar with your own inner voice? Some of you may be more familiar than others. And lastly, do you share your success joyfully? Not with regret, not feeling ashamed, not feeling guilty about it, but able to just come out and happily share the things that you're successful about. Isn't it time you chose to shine bright?